All right, we're going to be looking at Wretched Bastards by the Red Room. This is the revised edition. The first edition looked like this. It was only about 67 pages. But this one is about 100 pages more. And it's a PDF, print on demand, ttrpg book. And there's a bunch of Wretched books out there. They've really been pumping out a bunch of them. And this is the work of Silvio Clemente and Miguel Ribeiro. I hope that's the way you say your names. I apologize if not. So this is the revised edition. And it's a little bit not safe for work, but not too terrible. We're going to be going through it. I like the size of it, obviously. There it is there, Wretched Bastards. There is an issue with the back cover, which is going to be fixed. This is not, it's not lined up correctly. And there's some other typos and stuff like that that I've actually spotlighted and gotten back with Miguel about. So the book is a little bit different than what it is here. It's a little bit actually improved over this. So I often sometimes help out people whenever I'm reading a book to do a video. I let them know, hey, I'll try to look for some typos or errors and get back to you about them. I've done that a bunch. I just haven't said anything about it. So it is something sometimes that I offer people when they want me to look at their books, and especially if it's a smaller independent company, and try to help them out. So let's look at the cover here. This cover just makes me laugh. I don't know, there's something about it. These two guys are arguing. I mean, I don't know what they're arguing about. This is what it looks like to me. I know it's not it, but just their mouths being open. His mouth is huge, and it's just something funny about it. It's just like they're like yelling at each other, you know, calling each other assholes or something. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Now, one thing about this book, which is one of the first things that I've seen ever, is this book has got a lot of art that's AI generated. There is some other artists involved, but yeah, it's got AI generated art by Midjourney, and that's what I use to create my AI generated art. So it's interesting to see, and I'll be talking about that, obviously. It's not going to be the discussion right now for AI art and the particulars of whether or not the good and bad of it, but that maybe will be another day. So here's the content, in essence, the table of contents, and they are not native English speakers. They speak Portuguese, but he's done a good job with a lot of the book, and for it being not his first language, their first language. So there we go here with the introduction. So what is the deal with the Wretched series? So in the Wretched series, you are playing anti-heroes. You are playing people that are sleazy, greedy, violent, cruel, scoundrels. And, you know, there's been other games like this, but they have a little bit of a different take on it. So one of the things that they said about this game is that, and an introductory scenario that's in it called the Seven Bastards, is that it's inspired by many rip-offs of Conan the Barbarian. And these are all movies, of course, I love. Conquest, The Barbarians, Seven Samurai, The Magnificent Seven. And then there's a filmography here that really, I've seen a lot of these movies. Hercules, Hercules Unchained. Just going through, I can't list them all, but there's a bunch here. Ator, of course, The Beastmaster, Invincible Barbarian, Sorceress, which I absolutely love, Sword and the Sorcerer, Deathstalker, Sword of the Barbarians, Throne of Fire, Your Hunter from the Future. So it goes on and on. It's a great list, and I've seen most of these movies. So very cool. And so some of this art is AI generated, and you'll see some of the, like this is obviously AI, generated, but it gets the job done. I think that's one of the things that most impressed me about seeing a book that has a lot of AI generated art is that, unless you want to sit there and really zoom in and look and be like, oh, that's a little bit wonky, because AI generated art, it's got its problems. It doesn't like hands, it doesn't like eyes. And so it doesn't do very well on those, but it's interesting to look through these and just as an overall kind of view and say, well, that works. I get what that's trying to do. It gets the job done. So they're introducing their Wretched system, and they kind of talk about how, like Miguel talks about how he likes more like the scoundrel type characters. And then you've got Sylvia here. She talks a little bit about kind of her views of stuff as well. She also likes kind of the scoundrel type trope. And I used to enjoy that too back with D6 Star Wars. I would play like a Han Solo type character. So this art is AI generated here. And I can tell some of them. Some of them I might get wrong. I apologize for that. But, you can just see some things. But overall, it still gives the impression, if you're flipping through the book and reading it, it gives you the inspiration. It's in the right genre. And it gets the job done. So Miguel here talks about how he doesn't really like rules as much as he likes settings, and that's all well and good. And so you're going to get into the character generation, and the first thing you're going to do is what kind of the Wretched series is about. It's going to talk about kind of step by step how you make the character. But then you have, these are a few of my favorite sins, the 7 transgressions. So you're going to take like wrath, greed, sloth, pride, lust, envy, gluttony. 7 is one of my favorite movies, so I gel right along with that. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick one of the seven deadly sins, if you wish, and you're going to play your character, or you should play your character, in that, with that focus in mind, be it like pride. And you will get benefits in the game for acting on your transgressions. I think it's a neat concept. And it's all obviously going to be only for certain players that want to play anti-heroes. Now, you don't have to be a complete asshole to play with your character, but you can obviously play one that has a lot of these things like greed, which a lot of characters are going to have, but envy or gluttony and stuff like that. And it's going to kind of drift you towards doing your transgression because, like I said, you're going to get benefits for doing them. So it is basically an OSR clone. It uses a couple different words here and there for some things, but overall, it's exactly what you know from a D20 type system. Here's a great, example of AI art. You can get this is a bunch of characters down here, right? If you look in real close, you'll see a bunch of googly faces that AI art generates, but overall, it's fine. I think this guy might look like he has 6 fingers. So this is going to be a mixture of kind of pointing out what AI art is doing right now, but what it can benefit a role-playing game that you're trying to make. So, that even though there might be some little issues here and there, that still gets the job done for me. And that's where not using AI art and using traditional methods is going to give you that precision that you're not going to get from AI art right now. Now, who knows what the future is going to be for AI art? I mean, here we are talking about it, and the future of it's going to be a lot better. So there it goes. So you've got your normal races. And I'll talk a bit about kind of the story of it. You've got some half races, dwarf, half orc, gnome. You've got orc, know a little bit of some magic, and then you've got your classes. You've got assassin, commoner, conjurer, fighter, performer. There's a couple different types of performers you can say that you are, and some of this stuff does, like there's a prostitute, so some of it does get a little bit more adult. And of course, you're playing bad guys, so that's obviously going to be the focus of it. You've got your tables there, the rogue, the savant. And so instead of armor class, it has defense. It's exactly the same. It's just the way that the way that it's understood in the game is you are going to have to, in essence, you're making a skill roll every time to make an attack. There's some skills that you'll get, and one of those are going to be kind of like your melee skill. And so you'll add that. It's just kind of a different way of doing like a to hit roll armor class. And then you've got your normal defense. So it's exactly like a normal D20 game, just with a different name for it. You've got saving throws, which are going to pretty much be roll lower than your stats, so kind of going back to kind of earlier editions of D&D. And then you've got perks and drawbacks that your characters can get, like +3 to perception checks, as they've got acute senses, or a fast healer. And then there's some drawbacks. Maybe they have nightmares or flashbacks, or they've got a dirty little secret. There's some rules here for aging, as you can see there. And then the skill system. So again, normal, average is going to be 15, simple is going to be 10, and you're going to roll exactly as you would you would think D20 plus your ability modifier plus your skill level, and you'll get various ones from your different classes and stuff like that. And your intelligence score also helps you get some more starting skills. And then here's a big list of them. Pretty easy to understand. None of this stuff here is extremely, like, when it comes to the actual rules, is anything that you don't know if you've played any older editions of D&D. So this lady here, she is obviously made, I think, with AI-generated art. She lacks nipples. I don't know if that's just AI art trying to save your precious eyes from seeing nipples, but there that is. And then there's some perks and drawbacks. So, think of these kind of almost like as talents. So fairly understandable here. There's addictions for the drawbacks, bad luck. Maybe you're dependent on somebody, you've got an enemy. So more just explaining what those drawbacks and stuff are. And then you've got a section here on experience. And here's another thing here. It's got the Wretched commandments. So things that make this game different is you're obviously going to if you act selfishly, you're going to get 50 experience points. Thou shalt kill, so nothing new. The murder hobo trope exists for a reason, and this is pretty much normal. You get experience based off the creatures that you kill. You can get experience from stealing, if you maybe seduce somebody, if you act very narcissistic, if you just survive the scenario or the adventure, playing your role correctly, and if you betray maybe an NPC or a friend or something. So, it's going to kind of pit some people against each other, or maybe the NPCs. If you corrupt somebody, if you conquer something, like one of your personal objectives that you have with your transgression. But in order to balance that, you have a wanted level that goes up, and it kind of says, hey, these people can't go into this town, or they can't buy stuff in this city, or they're ultimately hated by everybody that they come across because they're so well known. So that's going to kind of balance out that stuff. Then you've got combat, pretty normal here. Morale, there's a section on STDs. This has actually been moved. So again, an adult game, it's got rules for STDs. It's been moved out of this section, so it's got its own section now. You've got some sword dueling rules, some rules on critical hits, sea battles, and then you've got your equipment lists. You can see here, he's got a little bit of the googly AI art generated eyes, but still, I think it gets the job done. And then you have a section on magic, pretty standard there. Nothing really outside the norm, as we're gonna kind of go through that. Bestiary is pretty cool. It's got some charts here to roll up some different stuff, like the habitat and their ability if you want to kind of create your own creature, their hit dice and damage rolls, and then a bunch of sample monsters here. So you can see, again, some of this is AI generated, a lot of it is, and yeah, it's to me, it gets the job done. So a lot of kind of normal creatures there. And then we're going to go into the setting. Antilia, I guess it's how it's pronounced, is the world of Wretched Bastards. And so there's a bit of explanation here about the history. And what's different is that humans are created from an alien race, and the other races, like dwarves and elves, they came from the planet, an alternate reality Earth, I guess, if you could say. They came, and these aliens showed up, and they have kind of like a magic, and they call it folding, but unfortunately this folding makes them develop brain tumors. And most of them have become, it says, comatose, insane, babbling fools, or even dead. So there's a bit of a history here pitting the people against these aliens. Some of the aliens kind of lock themselves up and hoping that there will be a cure in time for this folding ailment that they've got. But their creations, the humans, were also turned into slaves. So they kind of rise up against them with the help of the other races and kind of wipe them out, except for, I guess, the 7 that are sleeping. They found out a way to get around it by putting kind of their magic into objects, and it kind of explains magical items, which I think is a neat take. It still kind of made human kind of mages and stuff like that go insane, but it was kind of a way to throw away that terrible ailment that happened to the aliens. So here is a glossary of a lot of the different places and people in this setting. And the thing about, I would say this, is that I'm glad that this is in here. It fleshes out the book. It gives you something to kind of work on. But it obviously is a setting that could possibly use, like, its own book with stuff much more fully fleshed out. So we've got Fork and the 7 Bastards. So it's a whole right up here of this village of Fork, people and places. And the rest of this is going to be a lot of this. It's going to be telling you about a character, showing you their stats and what they're about, and then giving you maybe a plot hook and how to deal with these two people or a person. And each of these NPCs, they've pretty much got a plot hook. So while it's not a typical adventure, it's pretty much giving you adventure seeds. I mean, that's what it is. They're plot hooks to help you build along your way to creating your own adventures and stuff. But it does give you some stuff that obviously you can work on. There is a combat wheelchair here, which obviously kind of, I think, pokes fun at it a little bit, as Timmy can be shot forward hurtling head first if you roll a mishap with it, and if you roll a 1. And so it's just kind of a funny take on it a little bit. But yeah, so it's a completely statted out town here. The map is at the end, and there's a bunch of different characters, obviously with different plots going on, different desires and schemes. Some of the art here I think is very good. Like I said, I don't know if that's AI generated or not, but that's very good. This guy reminds me of Rutger Hauer. Like I said, that looks good. You know, to me, if that was AI generated, it looks really nice. So here's the village map here of Fork. And then you're getting into the Seven Bastards adventure. And again, it's kind of the same thing. It's much more open. You're talking about the character, a little bit bigger write-up. And then there's plot hooks and how to deal with them. So it's not a room by room, step by step, this is what happens in this adventure. It's more of a showcase, if you will, of these NPCs and these Seven Bastards here. Like I said, I don't know if that's AI generated at all, but I think that looks really good. So you've got a bard, a priestess, and some good big write-ups for them too. And then again, these plot hooks here to help you as you go along. So at the end here, as we go, there's a part here that says of the Beyond. It's telling you a little bit about some more darker aspects of it. These Apostles of Pain remind me of Cenobites from Hellraiser, and they've got their stats out there as well. There's some more spells here in the back in this appendix type area. There's a section here on carousing, which is actually quite lengthy. It can actually lead you onto more adventures, as a lot of these are, again, more plot hooks, you know, getting your characters down a certain adventure or so. And then here's encounters in the cards, which is pretty neat. So if you're using a tarot deck, what you can do is, you know, they explain a bit about how it works with the setting. But then if you need an event, you pull one of the cards, you get 0 to the full. And if you need an event, it says the card signals the beginning of a new journey, a voyage on which the characters should embark with optimism. Or if you need a character, it's going to tell you about that. Or if you need a place. I think that's a neat way to use tarot cards to be able to flip one of them over and generate some sort of character, event, or place for the night's adventure, the campaign, whatever is going on, you know, the spur of a moment type thing. And this is actually a really cool section, which is, you know, going to be pretty helpful for you. And we're going to continue. The character sheet could be a little bit better, I think. A little like some of these here, a lot of wasted space. Probably needs a white one, like so easy to print out, but fairly normal character sheet the way what the information it's given to you. So there is Wretched Bastards. It's interesting. There's obviously more books. We've got Wretched Space. I'll be doing a video about that. And down the road, I'll be doing Wretchploitation, which I'm really looking forward to doing this one because blaxploitation movies are one of my favorite genres. I've got a lot of them, and I'll have a lot to say about that genre in particular. But again, another meaty book there you can see with Wretched Space. That'll be coming in the future. So that is Wretched Bastards. It's got a neat take on being an anti-hero and maybe playing some sort of asshole or turd, and with a normal system that you're going to be pretty used to, but with incentives to be more of that jerk type character with experience, but then you're going to have a wanted level, and then with some background information on the setting of the Wretched Bastards. So there it is. Very cool book. It's being, you know, still some of the issues that are in the book are being fixed currently, and so pick this up if you want to check it out. Like I said, the other book's small, and it's got pretty much the same type of rules, but you get a lot more now with this revised edition. Really, you know, of course, it's also available in soft cover as well. But I hope this has been helpful, and look forward to making other videos showing you about the other Wretched setting line. So, game line, I should say. So, there it is, Wretched Bastards. Thanks.